Hello, my name is Timothy Johnson, and I am a traumatic brain injury survivor. Traumatic brain injury can result from trauma ranging from a simple blow to the head to a penetrating injury to the brain. According to statistics, in the United States, around 1.7 million people suffer traumatic brain injury. Adolescents between the ages of 15 and 19 and adults ages 65 and older are among the most likely to sustain a traumatic brain injury. Males were nearly 2 times more likely to be hospitalized and 3 times more likely to die from a TBI than females. There were approximately 214,110 TBI-related hospitalizations in 2020 and 69,473 TBI-related deaths in 2021. This represents more than 586 TBI-related hospitalizations and 190 TBI-related deaths per day. In this video, we will learn more about life with the TBI, including stories from survivors themselves and the people who support them.
My name's Steve Copley. Recently turned 58 years old. I don't feel 58, I'm doing good. I grew up in Southfield, Michigan. So career and family, I had my traumatic brain injury. I was a passenger in an automobile accident way back in '86. Many years go by, and I graduated National Institute of Technology. I was going there before, but I had my accident. But fortunately, I graduated afterwards, and I started working in automotive field. And as time went by, I was fortunate enough to work for M.A.R.C, cell phone company, back in the day, installing cell phones in cars. I like to shoot pool, exercise, do things of that nature, go to sporting events. Also, I ride motorcycles, which is very fun. I still ride to this day. My head injury doctor isn't too fond of that, but it's so much fun riding. I got married in 1988, a long time ago. The person that I married was my girlfriend when I was had my accident, traumatic brain injury, in 1986. I have 2 daughters. Well, they're grown now. I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter just had a baby named Bria. I'm a grandfather, and they live in Columbus, Ohio. My youngest daughter, she's with her boyfriend Joe. They live in Birmingham, and she cuts hair and stuff, and yeah, she has a great time with that. Myself, I'm probably never going to get married again, but go on dates and stuff and have a good time.
I'm Amber, 47 years old. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. My relationships with friends are like close-knit because we're like a large support system within each other, so we like help each other out in different situations, things of that nature.
Well, as I said, my name's Jonathan. I'm a music therapist. I've been playing music instruments since I was about 12 years old. I have 2 sons. I'm married, and yeah, I've been working here with M.A.R.C for I think about 3 years now. I've been practicing music therapy for 19 years. Initially, my passion for music was one thing that started off as a music therapist, but also when I discovered the field of music therapy, I was considering becoming a counselor. I was inspired by a counselor when I was a high school student. And some of the things that gentleman helped me out with as a teenager, I thought, maybe I could also help others too in a similar fashion. So when I discovered music therapy, it simply made sense to me that I can use music to help people as well, and it was a win-win for me.
I grew up in Warren, Michigan. Attended Fitzgerald High School. I lived in Warren for about 30 years, and I came out here to the Farmington Hills area. Well, currently I'm working here at M.A.R.C, but the majority of my career has been spent in various office work, accounting, purchasing, customer service. I have an associate's degree from Wayne County Community College in business management. And a couple of my hobbies include making puzzles and making stained glass art pieces.
So, how old are you?
I'm 55. My relationship with family and friends is a work in progress. There have been many good times and some really bad times. My son Nicholas, 23, and my daughter Caitlin, who's 22, and their mom have been very supportive of my recovery, and they have stood by me from day one.
Okay, well, my name is Tim Edmonds. I'm 60 years old, and I grew up in Howell, Michigan. My TBI occurred on March 2nd, 1991. I was 27 years old then. And I crashed during an ice storm. I crashed my truck into a tree. I spun out and hit a tree. I still own a car today. I had to get my license again after the accident, but I did that. I've owned a car again now. I've had several cars I've been driving probably since 94, 95. I've been driving steadily since then. I use a cane and I use a wheelchair. If there's going to be a lot of walking, I use a wheelchair. or if I'm in a mall or something where there's a lot of people to trip me up, I use a wheelchair then. I'm the youngest of 11 kids. My father worked at General Motors Proving Grounds in Milford, Michigan. I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. 2 of the brothers are deceased now. I also have 14 nieces and nephews. And the next generation after the nieces and nephews, there's anywhere from 20 to like 300. There's a lot of kids, I'm not sure how many. As far as relationships go, I had a girlfriend when I was in the accident, but I have a lot of extra baggage and I didn't want to tie her down to all that, so we kind of parted ways.
Hi, I'm Tessa Bird. I'm a board-certified art therapist, and I've been practicing art therapy for over 20 years. I've been an art therapist for over 20 years. I've had my own practice for this year will be 10. I've had my own practice in Royal Oak, and I've been working with individuals with traumatic brain injuries for over 10. I got my bachelor's at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, and while there, the work that I was doing had a lot to do with what was going on in my life right now that needed to come out. And I found the work extremely therapeutic for myself. I learned a lot about myself through the different mediums that I was exposed to at CCS. And I felt this has helped me so much, I know this can help others. So I was actually able to minor in art therapy at CCS, and then I went to Wayne State for my master's right after graduating.
Well, I live here in Michigan, and I've moved all over. I'm 48. I like to I like to watch TV, and I paint, and I write music, and I record music, and I do computers, and I cook, and I bake, and so that's what I like to do. It's a barrage of things, I know, but I can't never decide. So life is just taking me all over, And I was very young though when I got in my accident. I was 4. I just turned 4, so it was in 1979. So I grew up like this, so I can't really speak to anything different. So this is what I know, and this is me, and it is what it is.
Well, I am cool, calm, and retrospectively casual. Cool, calm, and collective. I don't start problems. I just try to avoid them or either end them one, whichever comes first. So Dad was the money runner. Dad made the money to pay the bills off and everything. So he was a construction engineer, and wherever the job was, that's where we moved to until the job was complete. So I'm a very friendly guy because I should make friends for a living. I just had to do this every day in school and out of school, saying, we're moving, I'm sorry, may never see you again.
How old are you?
65, young kid. Mentally or physically? Mentally, I'm about 24. Physically, I'm 35. Well, I'm a sub-assembler at the MARC Corporation. What was that other two?
Education.
Education. Well, I got education-wise, I was an honor roll student all the way up. I'm proud to say, to state the fact rather, that I was an honor roll student all the way up to 10th grade before I dropped out of school. Because see, reason why I dropped out of school is because when I was 17, I got this job working with this carpenter. And he told me, Ed told me, he said he was about 60, 62, somewhere around there. He told me if I learned the job, if I learned the trade good, he was going, when he retired in 4 to 5 years, he was going to turn it over to me.
You have any hobbies?
Yeah. Life's my hobby. Oh, my relationships are great. I'm father to the kids, and I'm grandfather to the grandkids.
Yeah, so my name's Carly Daniels. I'm an occupational therapist. I've worked as an OT for 14 years, mostly in the area of neurological deficits, so brain injury and stroke. I used to work in inpatient rehab at the Rehab Institute of Michigan downtown. And then I came out here to M.A.R.C. Occupational therapy is an interesting job. Like, there's so many different places that you can work to help. When I first started, I was sort of a generalist. And as soon as I started working in brain injury, it was fascinating. The brain is so interesting, the way that it controls absolutely everything. So I knew as soon as I was introduced to working in the area of brain injury, I was hooked.
I graduated South High in '84, and then right after that, I wanted to get into electronics computers. This was in '84, a long time ago. So National Institute of Technology, this was when there was a floppy disk operating system. We had Apple computers, and 3 months before I graduated, getting an EET degree, electronic engineering degree, I was a passenger in an automobile accident, suffered a closed head injury. They used to call it CHI back then, but now they changed it. Now it's TBI, traumatic brain injury. Like I said, I had 3 more months and I was going to graduate. It turned out that myself and friends of mine wanted to have some beers and stuff, and I was 20 years old. So we're like, let's go to Canada, 19, you know? And so we did. And but hold on, before we went to go out and have some beers and everything, I was working at Shopping Center Market. I went to school in the morning, and then I worked at night. So now I suffered this traumatic brain injury. I was behind the driver, and there was 3 other people in the car: the driver, front passenger, and a school buddy of mine, Frank. And we were in, this is like the first year of the Ford Escort, so it's real small and everything. And I was in the back seat behind the driver. Lost control of the car, and in subdivisions and stuff, in front of your house, near the curb, people put trees and stuff. So what happened was my driver lost control and started spinning around, and it went up and it crashed into a tree where I was sitting, and busted my elbow up. This elbow was this arm's an inch and a half shorter. Excuse me, got all kinds of scars and stuff and things like that. Was in a coma for 11 days. Woke up on the 11th day. So now it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they called my parents, and they said, Mr. Copley, this is Hotel Adieu in Canada. And my dad, the first thing he thought was, I got busted like in a house in Canada, Hotel Adieu. He's like, no, that's what we name hospitals, Hotel Adieu. He said, oh, well, obviously that changes everything, you know. But that was pretty funny. He thought I was in a house in Canada. On the 11th day, I woke up and there was this lady in my room. You know, I go, I'm thirsty. Can I get like a Coke? You know. So she leaves. Minutes later, comes back with these ice chips. I'm like, what the? I want ice chips, you know. So when I got out of the hospital, I went to Harper Hospital and then RIM, Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan. I was there for like 5 months. But then after that, they kept on saying, well, write stuff down. You forget stuff. Yeah, you know, got that dreaded short-term memory and everything. And they're always saying, you know, write it down, write it down. I'm like, I'm not writing anything down, you know. A lot of people with head injuries, the first weeks, months, or years, agitated, frustrated. Not all the time, but you know, it happens. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, that short-term memory is yeah.
Okay, well, I was up north on a snowmobiling weekend, and it started to rain on us, so we packed everything up and brought it back home. That afternoon, it got cold again, and the rain turned into an ice storm, and I was home, but I had to go out for something, and I spun my truck around and went in the ditch on the passenger side, and that hit a tree right over the passenger door, bolts on the truck. And I hit the dashboard or the corner post of the truck or the tree or something. And the people that found me, luckily for me, was a visiting nurse, and she found me in the truck. Her and her husband got me out of the truck, but I was breathing. I was not breathing, but I still had a pulse. So she did CPR on me and got me back to life. I consider her my guardian angel. I still see her today every now and then. Kathy Bonfiglio. And since there was an ice storm, they couldn't fly the life flight helicopter, so they had to take me by ambulance to Howell, the closest hospital, McPherson Hospital, which is now called St. Joe Livingston. And they kept me there for a couple hours, probably to get me stabilized, I guess. And then they took me by ambulance down to St. Joe's in Ypsilanti. And that's the best hospital for brain injuries. And I was lucky enough to have Dr. Perlman as my doctor. He's the best there is, so But when I went to St. Joe's in Ypsilanti, I was in a coma for anywhere from 17. At day 17, my left eye opened, and they told me that is not a reflex. You have to intend to do that. So, from day 17 to day 30, I was in and out of coma. There, I learned how to walk, talk, breathe, bathe, use the bathroom, eat and drink, and get dressed. It was also here that I learned that I was in a bad accident and my life had changed dramatically forever.
So I've seen traumatic brain injuries from car accidents, but also even just falls, especially in older people. You see a lot of brain injuries from that. You see a lot of brain injuries from accidents, people jumping in water, just being kind of silly, and they injure themselves. Some are big, some are small.
It can run the gamut of how someone obtains a TBI. It can be as minor as a concussion, where the symptoms go away within hours or days, to severe, where it's a lifelong disability that they have to live with. Often the people that I work with, this happened through an auto accident, but it also has happened where someone's walking or riding their bike and was hit as a pedestrian by an auto as well.
Well, when I was injured, I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk and all that stuff. But luckily, I was young, so I do consider myself lucky because I was very, very young. I think I didn't start walking until I was 6. So it was a couple of years. I went to physical therapy, and basically that's all, but it was physical therapy. Because in 1979 and 1980 and 81, they didn't really know much about brain injury. They didn't know how to help us. They didn't even call it a traumatic brain injury. It was a closed head injury. And they didn't know how to treat it.
I was injured in a work accident on September 14th, 2015. I fell to the ground from 12 feet in the air, and there were massive injuries that required immediate surgery that took 7 hours to complete. My brain was bleeding. I broke 8 ribs, my shoulder, requiring back fusion surgery. That's where they put they fuse the spine together and make it one big, like bigger vertebrae. And then I suffered permanent nerve damage in my shoulder, back, neck, and pelvic regions.
That I'm more tolerant of people, and I'm a lot more patient. That I appreciate the more finer things and not really take them for granted, because I don't want to like miss anything that's really that important to know or understand. I've known, well, for me, I love and appreciate my willingness to try new things, because before I wasn't doing this. It was just basically one thing, a one and done with me. Now it's just basically I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. But yeah.
Changes, why is there changes, you know? Well, traumatic brain injury messes with a lot of things in your memory, cognitive, all kinds of things. What I do now, I try to write down a lot of things, or maybe just a few words or something if I'm talking to someone about something, just a little tidbit that will jar my memory, bam. Because I got this dreaded short-term memory, which it's very embarrassing. Example, like I'm talking with Alvin right now. The question he just gave me, kind of, it's up there, but I just can't kind of grasp it. So what I usually do is I look at the person, dude, what were we talking about? And they go, oh, no, that happens to me. No, dude, I'm in a conversation with you. Just tell me. I want to finish what I talk about. And then Alvin would say, what were we talking about? So he would say,
I would say, tell me about the changes brought.
Then all of a sudden it's like, bam, yeah, thank you, yeah. Yeah, so that's one thing. I take a lot of notes, and a lot of times I don't need to look at it, but that dreaded short-term memory doesn't mean at all that I'm stupid or dumb or whatever. Yeah, that happens a lot, but in no way that is, it harnesses me, or that doesn't make me like a doofus or whatever. I just need that little tidbit of information, and then bam, I'm back on what I was talking about. A lot of people, I'm gonna be jumping off, whatever. A lot of people with traumatic brain injury, it used to be CHI, closed head injury, way back when I had my accident in '86. See, just like right now, I've been doing this conversation, talking with Alvin and everything. Not that my mind's overwhelmed, but it's just kind of like, it's all up there. That's a good question, because I hear that a lot, if not to me, to so many other head injury people. That is a hard question, because I'm 58 now. I was a passenger automobile accident that suffered traumatic brain injury when I was 20. Wow. I have no idea how I was back then, you know. I think I was a pretty cool dude, and I still am. A lot of people go back, oh, well, I used to do this, and I got this trophy for doing this 20 years ago. Oh, and I should have, I always wanted to be a teacher, and so I did this. You gotta let that stuff go. Worry about like the present. That's what I'm more into. I'm the Wayne Oakland chapter president. We meet the second Thursday of every month. Support group for TBIers, buddies of mine. And I talk to a lot of people about that, and I find that that's all they have, I feel, is the memories from the past, and they keep bringing that up. But that gets pretty old. And let's move forward. with that?
Well, my injury left me partially paralyzed, so I have to do things slower. It takes a little extra time. I'm half deaf in both ears, so I have to wear hearing aids. And really, I guess I grew up like this, so I pretty much my adaptation has been a lifelong thing. I've been doing this all my life, and so I mean that's why I like working here, because I can help people, along the way.
Are there any things that you miss about your former self? Before you got to this age.
Before I got to this age,
Yeah.
I don't. Not really, because life's been hard. I mean, I do miss my children being little. Because now that they're out of the house, it's a lot worse on me. Because I worry about them all the time. I don't really miss much. I don't, because I don't know anything else. But I do miss, I do miss my kids being little. And I think that's the biggest thing I miss, is my kids being small.
Primary symptoms we see is headache and fatigue, also problems with speech and memory loss. There's even problems with concentration, mood changes, things like that. Some of the long-term effects, things like memory and mood, can definitely affect an individual in the long term when they're seeking out employment or other types of education or different relationships, friends, family.
There can be long-term effects where it's just something they have to live with for the rest of their lives, where maybe they're struggling with just memory issues or time on task. And so it could be where many people that have dealt with a TBI are dealing with major depression. And so just being able to build the coping skills to handle how much their life has changed.
Yeah, so there's all different severities of brain injuries. On the one end, it can be as severe as not being able to walk, communication deficits, increased anger, agitation, different behavioral changes. But there's also really subtle things, just being disengaged from family, from friends, from things that people care about. Sometimes those are the hardest because you can't really see the deficit. People feel it, so it feels to family like this person doesn't care as much anymore, or they don't like doing things anymore because the person looks the same. I think those are the hardest ones, and it's hardest in my experience, it's hardest for people to understand their own changes.
Yes, I'd like to clarify the fact that the brain injury is ridiculously looked upon by society due to the fact of the matter, the more majority of brain injured people are just that, brain injured, but not brain dead. But society looks at them therapeutically as brain dead as opposed to brain injured. I mean, just because Louis Lunchbox and Josephine Donut cannot cognitively think properly doesn't mean on the RAM that the entire group can be in that realm. See, I'm caught up in the minority of being merely brain injured, not brain dead, because I am like the young generation stipulates, been there, done that. Cause see, I worked middle class at Generous Motors, what y'all call General Motors, but I call it Generous Motors, cause they was like, they had me like they have in that song, paid in full. Well, back in '76 when I first started at General Motors, I was making the mere amount of measly $19.95 an hour. That's all, don't laugh. That's all I was making. Yeah.
I mean, I don't look at it like it's a misconception. I look at it as every brain injury is different on a different level. And certain people have misconceptions about certain brain injuries, but then other brain injuries may behave like that. So it all depends on the level of the injury and how that injured person behaves. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, but the thing that bothers me the most is that they generalize. I hate that, okay? Because you can't say this TBI does this, so all TBIs are going to do this. That's absolutely not true. And this TBI thinks like this, so all TBIs are going to think like this.
You know, some facilities that I've been in, they'll, you know, not talk to people. They'll, you know, oh, you get a timeout and push them away. Well, what's this person supposed to learn from a timeout? They're not 2 years old. This was a 48-year-old woman, you know, that worked in a jail, and she just, you know, she had a head injury, and now you're going to treat her, you know. And so I'm grateful that I you know, when I said I got growth from my head injury, I've learned a lot. I learned a lot about people that have sustained a head injury, a lot about people that have worked with people that have closed head injury, maybe even people that shouldn't be working with people that have a closed head injury. You know, and I learned about doctors. I mean, there's just so many things, and not everybody is the same. I mean, Eve's is not the same as mine, and Amber's is not the same as mine. But, you know, it's like there's different areas of the brain that might get damaged, and everybody thinks that everybody's brain got damaged in the same area. You know, some people can't walk that well, some people can't walk at all, some people can't speak. You know, there's all different, people need help in different areas in their life, and I think everybody thinks that you have a closed head injury, because I was told at one job that if I knew you had a head injury, I wouldn't have hired you. I wouldn't have had you be a cashier. You would have been doing carts, you know, and that's just not right, you know.
One of the biggest things is that every single person goes back 100% to where they were, and not accepting the person or the diagnosis when somebody isn't 100% where they were, versus helping. That's where the education comes back in, sort of educating that even though somebody's not 100%, even though you don't feel 100% where you were, life's still life. You know, you're still living, you're still can enjoy the things that you used to enjoy. It just may look a little bit different.
I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions is a lot of times you won't be able to tell if someone had a traumatic brain injury. They just look like the everyday person walking around, but they're dealing with a lot of things internally that has completely turned their life upside down since their accident. So imagine that a person had a job they found completely rewarding, but they're not able to cognitively or physically do that job again. People find themselves having to live in a group environment, and they might not, or in apartment where they have supervision, and they might have lost the ability to live independently. And that's a huge factor that people don't realize that not only are they dealing with the physical and the emotional struggles of having a TBI, but there's a lot of grief and loss of what their life used to be like and what it is like now. So to be able to be that individual that someone can feel like they can be themselves, that someone is meeting them with where they're at, where they don't feel judged, and a lot of family members think they should be able to pop right back up to the person they were before. And there's just a lot of misconceptions that their lives may never be the same again. And so to help them be able to release all of that, of what they're feeling, it's amazing what can happen in art therapy, of helping them, like some suggestions would be to create like a safe place. There's a project I do that's the Tree of Strength, where they can identify what positive aspects they still have within. There can be where I help people let it go, where they're letting go of the way they, the misconceptions of how people look at them, and to be able to feel confidence in where they are today. So there's many different art activities that I do that can help build their self-worth with where they are today, and have someone that they've built trust and rapport to be able to express themselves.
Well, I think some of the misconceptions are that all traumatic brain injuries are the same, and they're not. They're all unique. It's there's so many different levels of severity to those types of injuries. Also, the injuries are not all physical. Traumatic brain injuries, as we said before, can affect individuals' mood, and it can affect their memory and their concentration. A lot of those factors come into play with things like confusion and memory loss can really trigger an individual to act out behaviorally in a way due to those factors. Also, you don't need to necessarily have to be hit or have some sort of blunt force to the head to acquire a brain injury. It is something that where if you have loss of oxygen to the brain, you can also have a brain injury from that, as well as things like whiplash. Not necessarily does the head have to be struck directly. It can be the brain can be jostled back and forth or side to side and sustain injuries that way too. And as I said before too, with things like swelling or bleeding, if there's pressure trapped between the brain and the different layers within the skull, that pressure can also cause injuries, and it will need to be released surgically.
I tend to ignore everybody because nobody has anything nice to say when they find out you have a head injury, really. Everybody wants to educate people, right? As we all, there are different levels of traumatic brain injury. And my question, it's more like a question. So if there are different levels, why do you put us all in the same box? I don't understand that, not at all. And it's not fair, and it's not understanding or trying to understand. It's just what's easy. Get away from what's easy. My life ain't never been easy. Yours shouldn't be easy either.
Probably one of the first things I really focus on is making sure that the individuals that we're hearing and listening to what they have to say and what types of things are troubling them, what areas of need they may have. In my music therapy practice, music is used because it's highly repetitious and it's very structured. And I find that that structured learning and repetition is something that's very helpful for folks that may be having issues with concentrating or with memory as well. I design most of what I do as a therapist for my experiences in music is really designed for success. So I make sure that it's a very clear and precise expectation for the individual, and that it's within their realm of functioning. That it's something that they can achieve with relative ease once they get the once they get the idea, and they may have gone through it once or twice. Then it's usually something that's pretty easily accomplished, and then we can add different tiers of complexity to it to make it more challenging for the individual too.
What I love about being an art therapist is a lot of these things can happen and people have no idea while they're creating the art. So when you think about it, there's a lot of decision making that happens, problem solving. You're using your fine motor control, your gross motor control. There's a lot of hand-eye coordination. And what's interesting is they're able to do work where they're expressing themselves, they're learning more about themselves. And it's all kind of happening while creating an art piece. And it's much more about, when it comes to art therapy, it's much more about the process of creating an art piece than creating this beautiful masterpiece. People can do that, and that can strengthen self-esteem. But mainly, it's more about learning about themselves and how their life has changed, and build the coping skills to kind of handle how their life has dramatically changed since their TBI. And there can be a lot of self-discovery that happens when someone is using art. Also, a lot of the individuals that I work with, they can be dealing with pain and physical pain from their accident. And while working with me, they tend to be more in the here and now, where a lot of those kind of daily stressors and issues with pain kind of go in the back burner, and they find that it's a time that they can completely relax and be themselves.
The major thing is understanding, teaching the person who is injured what could be happening, helping to guide them to, on the clinical side, what I'm seeing, educating on what the brain does, what the different areas of the brain does, and what they're seeing on scans, those sorts of things, but also educating family on strategies for interacting, caregivers on strategies for interacting. The education is the primary thing that I see help, followed by environmental strategies, so setting up the environment so that people can be successful. Here we have the low sensory room. Different people who need a quiet space with less light, less just action, can utilize that room, and that same strategy can be used anywhere in life. You know, if you're out in the community wearing headphones, making sure you go where it's quieter, where there's less people. One specific thing that I've helped people see is like going to a local grocery store versus going to M.A.R.C. Still doing the same thing, still accomplishing the same goal, but we've all been in M.A.R.C. and it's a lot, you know, where versus a local grocery store in the evening when it's a little quieter.
Confusion. Yes, sir, they've been confused. I mean, I may not do everything right. A lot of times I may do wrong, you know, but that's only human. It's only human to be able to live and let live. Everybody makes mistakes. Only thing about y'all got me beat. You normal folks. Y'all can do wrong and get away with it with that stipulation. Oh, wow, I didn't know. Nothing said about it. I do wrong. Me and my constituents, we do wrong. It's that brain injury. It's that medicine.
Does that bother you?
No. I'm not weak-minded enough to let that bother me. I've grown out of that mediocre thought.
They've had a great impact on it between all the occupational, physical, even recreational therapies that I'm doing now. I could not do without them. They just helped me make it a lot easier.
I envision my future very well accomplished because there's so much that I want to offer. There's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to basically mark off as things basically on my bucket list of things to do that I want to say I've done. Basically, as far as furthering my career, as far as songwriting, as far as like videoing, as far as acting, as far as singing, basically those sort of things to basically further my horizons, to basically reach new heights and do things that I never knew that I could accomplish.
I'm always working towards goals for the future. Every day I try to continue with some form of physical, occupational, and recreational therapy to keep me working toward a goal and becoming an independently functioning TBI survivor.
Your brain injury, how can you do this activity? Or you're not, I've had people say, well, you're too dumb to do this. You have a brain injury. That's a very big misconception. Just because your brain is injured does not mean you cannot function in the world.
Okay, I have a new perspective on life now. I can get up, get cleaned up. I will go to work at M.A.R.C. I don't expect much from my life anymore. I just try not to be too much of a burden on other people. And I help whenever I'm able to. If nothing else, I can keep people laughing.
Well, it's made me more interested in people again. Just by trying to make friends and new acquaintances.
Staff people there, not doctors, but therapists, and they were saying that, well, only 1% of people with closed head injuries graduate. Why can't I be that 1%? You know, if it could be higher if you would realize. I mean, I can do it, and I did go to school. I went for 4 years. You know, and I just think that they don't. When I was in the hospital, they're saying, "Oh, try. You can do it. You can do it." And then when you get to a certain point, they say, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Don't." You know. I mean, I wouldn't tell my kid, "Don't do that. Don't try." You know, why are you telling me not to try?
Everyday people have had injuries. People have no idea. And like I said, it always goes back to, after a while, oh, like you're retarded. Or you're talking, and then all of a sudden they start talking louder. I didn't say I was deaf, you know, and I could hear you perfectly. Somehow, some way, I went back to National Institute of Technology. I graduated. I just had 3 months left. But when I was in the coma and all that kind of stuff, it just went back to 7 sessions. So when I went back to NIT, I had all the answers, basically, notes and everything. So I graduated, and I had some odds and end jobs in the beginning. But I was fortunate enough, I saw an ad in the paper installing cell phones in cars. So this was like in the early 90s when people were driving around with their car phone, and you're like, must be a doctor or a drug dealer, or who's this guy think he is, with a cell phone. So I would install cell phones in cars. And that was at Cellnet Cellular. I was so proud of myself. I worked there for about 1.5 years. Then I started working for Ameritech way back in the day. And I worked there from 1995 until 2008. They fired me. I wore many hats. I was a technician in the stores. Then I sold phones. Then I was a cell site technician. That was awesome. I had like 29 cell towers out in Flint. So they're like, here's a car, here's a gas card. Do what you gotta do, but just make those work and everything. That was major fun. I did other things also. I ordered parts from like Japan, because they're way more advanced than us. Like Nokia from Finland. I had relationships with them going back and forth. And yeah, it was awesome. Unfortunately, in 2008, AT&T fired me, and at the same time, my ex, she divorced me. I was traumatized. I got through that. That was a long time ago. I feel I'm so much better now. And me being president of the Wayne Oakland chapter, that's given back. I have so much to give back to people, to talk about this stuff.
Just gonna say, it's not just, you're talking about society as a whole. Society as a whole has a problem with a lot of disabled people, a lot of normal people. They just have a problem with people. So I'm really not worried about the society because I don't hang out with the society. So, it's more, taking care of my corner, my doctors, my people I hang around with, and how I carry myself and carry the message of being in recovery.
How you carry,
And so, our actions speak, louder than anything else is how we act. And I'm not ashamed to have a closed head injury. And at first, I was using it as, I have a closed head injury. I don't do that. I haven't done that in a while, but because I'm proud of what I've learned. I've learned a lot. If I didn't have a closed head injury, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have a house. I wouldn't have my dog. I wouldn't. I've been blessed, and I've all been blessed to survive what we went through. Being, cry. No, I'm all right. Having like an 8% chance to survive, and giving your last rites, and having to learn how to walk. I don't know why I'm crying. Learning how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, how to swallow. If I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't know what I have today is just so precious, and being able to, coming here was like something I was hoping for since the first year, something where I can share what's going on with me with other people who actually understand, people who have it. It's kind of like, no, I'm getting too much into it, but going to like an NA meeting, you share and it helps you to keep going because you're with like-minded people. And if I didn't have a closed head injury, I would not be clean today. I'm coming up on 20 years clean, and my diabetes is under control. It never would have been, so it's like I've been blessed to have a car accident, and I'm so grateful I survived that, I think Dr. Perlman, who's my PM&R, said that I was like a success story because people who have sustained a head injury are determined. The people, the survivors, are determined to be as good as you can be. And I don't think people understand that we have a drive inside that's, I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna drive, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna be normal. Your normal is different than my normal. But anyway, sorry.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Well, when I was injured, they said I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that, and you'll never have kids. You'll never walk again. You're going to be a vegetable for the rest of your life. You're not going to graduate high school. You're just not. Well, I have every last one of those things. So I wish they would say stuff like that, because that makes them sound kind of, stupid. But, I hate to put it like that, but it's the truth. And I mean, this is a documentary, and it's going to be the truth, and that's all you're going to get from me.
Yes, when I got out that wheelchair, I was told never, the prognosis for me, for my ex-wife, kids, family, and friends, Mr. McDaniel is going to be mentally and physically incompetent if he came out the coma. That's why I hate that word, if. It had me set, it had me gone, basket case. They said I was never going to walk again, I was never going to communicate. And not only did I walk again, but about 8 or 9 months after I came out the coma, I beat the doctor that gave that prognosis in a game of chess in 5 moves. Yes, there's success after recovery.
There is nothing like when somebody realizes what they can do versus what they can't do. So especially as a clinician, it is so easy to point out what a person can't do versus what they can. So you might not be able to do something exactly like you used to, or interact with people exactly like you used to, but success is success, no matter what it looks like. And so the most exciting thing is as soon as somebody kind of returns to life.
Yes, I think in my practice as a music therapist, we are often focused on the music itself, and I've been able to have some performance opportunities with the individuals I work with, singing songs, playing instruments, and being able to have a performance in front of their families and friends and peers and other therapists, people that they work with, and to really see an individual be able to benefit and really shine from that experience is really something that's awestruck. You get to see all of the hard work that they put into their therapies, and it all comes out in a single performance. And it might just be a 5 or 10 minute performance, but it's something that really puts a lot of joy into the individuals. And in music in particular, it's something that they can share with anyone.
Mine would be writing music and performing after the accident, because I was told I couldn't, or not that I couldn't, but from someone else's perspective, oh, she can't, she won't be able to. I'm like, I've written 4 songs, performed, I've done things that they didn't think I could do.
I've had many very positive. I absolutely love what I do because I have a position, a job where people actually like coming and working with me. I'm a positive aspect of their day typically. And so, oh gosh, I have so many, so which one can I say? You know, just recently I had a client say to me that they have gotten more out of the work that they've done with me within a month of working with me than years through just regular talk therapy. So it's nice to be that person that helps them visualize instead of it just staying internal with just words and images, but actually making that tangible object that helps bring what they're feeling inside out to be that object where they can learn about themselves and you know, be able to identify how they can accept where they are today and still continue to build goals on what they like to where they like to be.
Triumphs like we've been talking about. I had to learn how to walk, how to speech. There's a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and they're all things you can be proud of that you've completed.
My advice for a new survivor is to basically, the world's your oyster, meaning that there's so much that you can do, not to limit yourself, and don't deny yourself, and to be patient with yourself. I understand that, you know, you want to appreciate the more finer things in life, but let's take it a bit easy, because you can't do everything, but you can, just in moderation, at, you know, a more slower pace than the average person, because you need a little bit more time to adapt and adhere to what's going on.
Be careful, live and learn.
For a new survivor, I would say it's going to be a lot of work each day. You can get hopefully better day by day, and it's recovery. It's not an easy thing. It's going to take a while for you to find the type of help that you may need. Programs that we do here at MARC makes that a little easier. It's changed me physically, but mentally I feel pretty good, and all I'm trying to do is be better than the person I was yesterday. And that just takes time, patience, and work.
I would say that I will wait, because it depends on the person. Like, somebody might not be ready to take that advice, you know, and whatever, because, you know, depending on how new the injury is, I would definitely wait for them to take the advice, or give them a little sliver, and if they're not ready, they're not ready. So, move on. What I would do, tell them is I'd be like, this is you now. This is who you are. Be patient with yourself. I mean, I still, 45 years later, go forward and I take a couple steps back. And that's life though. That's have nothing to do with a brain injury. That is life. Everybody does that. Just have patience with yourself. Love who you are, because, everybody's awesome. That's how I feel about it. I'm just weird. But, so just love who you are. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with people who are trying to help you. I mean, you might not understand, but they do mean well. Everybody means well. Don't make and people who are helping you, don't make generalities, don't make snap judgments, just go with the flow. Just, help. I mean, like with a kid, you're not going to sit there and constantly be on them, right? No, you're going to, trial and error thing. Just have patience. That's the biggest thing, is to have patience. And accept who you are. I mean, that person in the mirror, who was that person in the mirror, has evolved. All it is evolution. It's a new beginning. I've been in this for 45 years, and I've been all my life. You can't change society. You can only work on an individual at a time. All right, I have friends I've known for 30, 35 years. Do you know all of their children who grew up around me work with people who are disabled? Because they want to understand. So it will change. It's just going to take a minute.
Well, when they get out of the hospital, keep a good team with you to help you get to your doctor appointments and take your medication, and you need to go through the rehab process and put in your work, and you can get better results. The more good work you put in, you get better results. Some people walk. I don't walk that great. I use a chair. Some people don't have to use a chair anymore, They have good balance, and I guess it all depends. It's always different for everybody.
Never give up. I mean, a lot of people never give up and this kind of stuff. But keep driving forward. Don't use your injury as an excuse. I mean, what's a different word instead of excuse? Because it's a real thing, but try not to fall back on that. You will definitely get better as the days and years go by. And everyone you meet, if you meet people and stuff, the first words, I was head injured. Dude, for what reason? If you want to be treated the same as everyone else, there's no need just to throw that out there, because people don't understand that anyway. Just reach for the stars. I know everyone, stuff like that. Keep challenging yourself, just like I challenged myself to start working for M.A.R.C, putting phones in cars, and I just kept on climbing that corporate ladder, cell site technician. So just keep on trying to advance.
Individuals, the the advice that I would have for individuals supporting someone is to be patient with them, to basically explain more to them, because what the average person can say to them versus what another TBI says, it's like two different things. It's a different forms of communication. So basically elaborate, explain, define, give them the meaning of what you're saying versus just saying it, because that can basically lose a lot of people because they're not exactly sure of what it is that you're saying. So you have to elaborate and really define of what you're saying so that, you know, no person can feel like, okay, what did you say? And it's not being funny to ask you what you said, but it's just basically a lot of people won't understand. You can answer the question, but then you have to really answer the question because you have to really define. You have to explain yourself to them to basically give them a true understanding of what you're saying versus you just being a one and done, saying what you said, I'm done, I said what I said. No, tell me what you said so I know.
Stick with the person, you know, they're going to have all kinds of problems that will come up. It may be a new problem that you're not aware of, but the things will come up all the time. And you just gotta be willing to accept that and work with it and try to improve their life.
Arm yourself with knowledge. Knowledge as to, you know, different people with TBI are different. There's all different levels. So, you know, they're like, do your research. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. You just gotta look for it. And the patience thing, I can't tell you how more important having patience is. And I mean, even people with traumatic brain injury, having patience with each other, which is really hard to do sometimes, but we got to do it. I mean, that's all. Just have patience. I mean, and accept the fact that this is going to take time, you know? And just, it's worth it to take that time. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Be patient. Life is like a choose your own adventure book. So, you know.
Don't use the excuse of their head injury with you. Oh, well, he can't do this. Oh, no, he shouldn't be doing that. Or, no, he shouldn't dribble that basketball because he might fall over. I mean, let people do their stuff. I mean, yeah, obviously, if the person is not stable and things like that, or even so, even if he isn't stable, put him out there with someone to do things. There's always people that are unfortunate that are really messed up. I'm not talking about those kind of people. I mean, I guess you can be really messed up and still move around and all kinds of stuff. But don't let this head injury keep you back. And quit throwing that out there to people. Oh, I have a head injury. But I mean, I don't see the use of that. Yeah, after maybe some time, if you're with someone, you could bring that up. Like it's, you know. But I'm a true person. I mean, because I was messed up, and I'm very pleased that I worked for MARC, AT&T for like 13 years and stuff, and I got 2 daughters. They're all old and everything, or older. Divorced now.
That technically and theoretically you are there to help him or her, not hurt.
I think just getting up every day, being able, for me, because I'm short, put my feet on the floor when I sit up. No, just getting up every day, and I'm still doing what I like to do. It's it's just just get up, and that in itself is a triumph. It's like come to work when I don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that is a triumph. I mean, just I think stubbornness is like the biggest quality, the best quality I have. I really do. I think stubbornness is the best quality because people who aren't stubborn, they give up.
And as we conclude this documentary, we acknowledge the vast spectrum of causes and consequences of traumatic brain injuries. While our films showcase only a handful of survivors, we urge you to become advocates and share your own stories. Our participants have shared invaluable insights into their rehabilitation journeys, aiming to alleviate the struggles of current and future TBI survivors. Whether you're in Michigan or elsewhere, support is available through the Brain Injury Association. Visit BIAMI.org or BIAUSA.org for resources and information. For more about MARC or to arrange a tour, visit MARCtherapies.com. We thank you for support in raising awareness and fostering understanding for the TBI community.